The 9-part Star Wars saga has come to an exciting, surprising, and at times confusing conclusion, bringing an end to the story of the Skywalker family. In its conclusion, there were clones, ghosts, droids, weird aliens, cantinas, more ghosts, lightsabers, spaceships, and even more ghosts. There were questions answered in the movie, but it also brought up a few of its own. We wouldn't be surprised coming out of the theater if you were unsure how it all fits together. So dive into our explanations and feel at least a little less confused from the 10 weirdest things from the Rise of Skywalker. Number 10. Palpatine is back. Palpatine was presumed dead after Darth Vader tossed him down a reactor shaft at the end of Return of the Jedi. As it turns out, he's actually alive. Could a fall like that kill a strong Force user like Palpatine? Darth Maul and Luke Skywalker survived serious falls in past Star Wars films, but that doesn't really come close to exploding in a reactor shaft. Palpatine relocated himself to the Sith planet of Exegol, where machines prolonged his life long after his supposed death. But the question is, how did he get from the Death Star to Exegol? Was it Force manipulation? Maybe a loyal Sith helped him. Or maybe someone like Ochi, who he sent to get young Rey from Jakku. Well, there's an interesting theory revealed in the Rise of Skywalker novelization. Kylo finds Emperor Palpatine on the planet of Exegol connected to a machine, and Kylo's thoughts revealed to us that Palpatine is in fact a clone. Quote, Kylo could feel in his very bones that this clone body sheltered the Emperor's actual spirit. Now, in the Expanded Universe comics, Palpatine had the ability to transfer his consciousness between clone bodies. However, those clone bodies were just clones, so they couldn't possibly contain his full power. That is also the case in the Rise of Skywalker, until Palpatine sucks the Force dyad energy from Rey and Ben Solo to restore his body back to its full evil glory. Number 9. Who were the species on Mustafar? Kylo Ren, played by Adam Driver, is on the surface of Mustafar, the fiery volcanic planet where Anakin Skywalker was defeated at the hands of his old master Obi-Wan Kenobi in Episode 3. Kylo is slaughtering faceless opponents before locating a Sith Wayfinder, which supposedly belonged to his grandfather Darth Vader. This Wayfinder would later reveal Palpatine's location on Exegol. But who is Kylo Ren fighting on Mustafar? In the Rise of Skywalker Visual Dictionary, we are told that these inhabitants are members of the Alismech of Winsett. Try saying that 3 times fast. They are a cult of Vader worshippers hoping to obtain Darth Vader's powers. Creepy. The Alismech planted the forest where the opening battle takes place, and they also happen to live there. But Kylo Ren doesn't ask for permission to access the ruins of Vader's fortress. Number 8. Palpatine's fleet. How did Palpatine assemble his Final Order fleet? Palpatine channeled the power of all the Sith who had come before him, and he was also cloning Snokes who were strong in the dark side, and he had loyalists he was able to tap into from across the galaxy, even after his death. Based on the haunting figures who were in the auditorium in the throne room scene with Rey, either Exegol had an entire population loyal to Palpatine, or he was able to physically manifest the former Sith Lords who came before him. It also seems Palpatine had a large and powerful working force at his fingertips, and with 30 years of secrecy to build his army of destroyers, you could say that's justifiable. But we don't know where he got all the resources to construct these ships, nor why or how they were buried below the surface of Exegol. I guess the Emperor spent a little bit too much time with his Legos. Number 7. Did Rey train herself? Following the death of Luke Skywalker, his twin sister Leia Organa took it upon herself to train Rey in the ways of the Jedi. We had never seen Leia receive any Jedi training herself up until this film. She had displayed Force sensitivity in the original trilogy, mostly because of her connection with Luke, and had exhibited impressive powers in The Last Jedi, when she managed to save herself from the vacuum of space via Force pull. But we never really got to see her learning how to do that. However, in The Rise of Skywalker, it is revealed that she did train with Luke, and she even constructed her own lightsaber. On the final day of her training, she had a vision that her Jedi path would lead to the death of her son, so she turned away from becoming a Jedi and gave her lightsaber to Luke, saying that eventually someone would come along worthy enough to wield it. Leia technically isn't a Jedi, but she has all the the knowledge and training to continue teaching Rey from where Luke had left off. Later, Luke's spirit presents Rey with Leia's lightsaber, which she uses to defeat Palpatine once and for all. Way to go, coach! Number 6. C-3PO's translation problems. Ochi's Sith dagger was a very important item for Rey's team of Resistance fighters, but what happened to C-3PO when he read the coordinates on the dagger? Well, his programming forbids him to translate the Sith language. Out of all the millions of forms of communication, you couldn't translate just this one? Come on, 3PO. Now, this may seem rather arbitrary to the plot, but in the end it makes sense for the Star Wars canon. In one scene, 3PO starts to explain why he can't translate Sith, but the group is interrupted by a giant sand serpent that distracts them from the dagger. However, 3PO can be heard telling them that the rule was passed by the Imperial Senate many years before. So that means Palpatine spent years manipulating the Senate to serve his dark purposes, and eventually dissolved the Senate entirely. So it makes sense that Palpatine passed a legislation making it impossible for droids to translate Sith language, thus quietly consolidating his power and keeping the Sith communications secret. Next time, try downloading the Sith app, 3PO. Number 5. The Death of Leia. In December of 2016, a year before the release of The Last Jedi, Carrie Fisher sadly passed away. However, director J.J. Abrams announced that he would be working to incorporate unused footage of Fisher from other Star Wars films in order to finish Leia's journey. And in The Rise of Skywalker, Leia appeared in the first act as Rey's teacher and leader of the Resistance. And later in the film, she dies reaching her son through the Force. Then, the name Leia whispers, the name left behind and rejected by Kylo Ren when he turned to the dark side. Leia reaches out with motherly love and acceptance, letting him know that after all the terrible things he's done, she still considers him her son. The effort to pull her son back from the dark side, and the effort of reaching out to him, takes every bit of remaining strength she has left. She passes away, becoming one with the Force. A truly emotional and beautiful way to end Leia's story. Moms will always be moms. Number 4. Palpatine's plan? Over his 30-plus years on Exegol, Palpatine came up with a strange plan for taking over the galaxy. Palpatine created Snoke, whom he maneuvered into a position of power as Supreme Leader of the First Order, which subsequently took over the entire galaxy. He did that while also searching for his granddaughter Rey, considered to be his one true heir. After she was trained by Luke Skywalker and became somewhat knowledgeable in the Force, he sends Kylo Ren to kill her. But his real intention was to bring Rey before him so she could lean into the dark side of the Force, preparing her to become the one true Empress by making her strike him down, thus transferring his spirit to her and the Sith before him. Striking down in anger, that sounds familiar. It was a very confusing plan, and it still leaves us scratching our heads. Number 3. Rey's Jedi voices. After Palpatine pretty much drains Rey and Ben of their Force, Rey, laid on the ground, watches the battle above, seemingly losing hope, and looking past the battle as she tries to channel the Jedi who have come before her. And then Jedi voices start encouraging her to rise and face Palpatine. Familiar voices, among these being Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn, Frank Oz as Yoda, Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu, and of course Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. All these voices are past Jedi, and by lending enough power for Rey to reflect Palpatine's dark energy back on himself, killing him once and for all, hopefully, the balance in the Force is finally restored. But one question remains. Did his spirit actually die? Or did it secretly pass to Rey, secretly continuing the Sith? I guess we'll know someday. Number 2. A dyad in the Force. Rey and Kylo Ren make up a dyad in the Force. A new term that I should look up in the dictionary. It's rare, and it hasn't been seen in generations. Both Force users together can wield the Force in powerful and unseen ways, like we see them do in the throne room sequence in The Last Jedi. Kylo Ren speculates that their connection exists for being the grandchildren of two of the greatest Force users of all time, Anakin Skywalker and Emperor Palpatine. Palpatine also realizes that, so he heals his clone body by draining their combined Force, then weakens them by splitting them up, throwing Ben down a chasm, and eventually sparring against Rey. But then Rey channels the strength of past Jedi, and we know where the story goes from there. After the final battle, Ben climbs out of the chasm and revives Rey by transferring his energy to her, which sadly kills him in turn, making him join his mother and being one with the Force. It's interesting that we've learned a new term though, dyad. Number 1. Luke's lightsaber mystery. Luke Skywalker's first lightsaber from Return of the Jedi has a surprise link in the Rise of Skywalker. On the cover of issue 6 of the Marvel Comics Star Wars series centered on the members of the Rebel Alliance after The Empire Strikes Back, it's revealed that Luke had a never-before-seen yellow lightsaber, similar to the one Rey has at the end of Rise of Skywalker. Before this series, we didn't know what happened to Luke's blue lightsaber after he lost it during his battle with Darth Vader on Cloud City. In this comic series, the saber is caught by a mysterious figure who, based on the robes, seems to be a Jedi. We hear a voice say, "Skywalker, follow your destiny," as this figure catches the weapon. But then in Return of the Jedi, Luke is seen using a green lightsaber. So how he got the yellow lightsaber and what it really means is still a mystery. Or maybe he just customized it in the beginning of Return of the Jedi, from yellow to green. Whatever. Well, those are the 10 weirdest things about the Rise of Skywalker. What did you think about the conclusion to the Skywalker saga? Let us know down in the comments. And if you'd like to see more top 10 lists and movie news and theories, be sure to force push that like and subscribe button, and click on that notification bell so you can know whenever a new upload is coming your way. Until next time, and may the Force be with you.